Hello, 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 hello. Sean Brady at another fabulous episode of the Metaphysics, the tongue twister, the Metaphysical Mindset, here with Dr. Laurel Clark. And we are talking about a fabulous subject in one of the universal laws of attraction, and specifically desire. We had a conversation about desire before, and had you seen the episode on the universal law of relativity, you would have known how we got to this episode right here and now. So we're always talking about desire, but we wanted to do a deeper dive on that. I'm here with the one, the only, the fabulous Dr. Laurel Clark. I'm butchering names because I have a little bit of it. I got allergies going. People, this is tough. I apologize. But it's real and it's live. It's uncut. It's unedited. And Dr. Laurel Clark has been studying metaphysics for well over 4 decades. And it's been just an amazing passion of hers to keep on learning and finding and discovering all these wonderful things. And she's here sharing them with us today. So, Dr. Laurel Clark, thank you for always being here. You're such a great light up to the room, even if it's virtual.
Thank you, Sean. It's great to be here.
So desire, you're going to go into a little bit more on desire. I'm like, we got to capture this too. We can't just let it go by. So say more about desire, because you asked me, it's like, what do you desire? I'm like, oh, I never thought of that.
Desire is kind of an interesting concept because everybody has desires. There are always things that we want, and it's very powerful. So desire is a strong, pulling, attractive force. Yeah. So think about it in terms of romance, for example. Everybody likes to be desired. Everybody likes to be wanted. They may not always like the person who wants them, but just right. The idea of being desirable makes us feel good. And that's part of why people like to be in love, because they know that they are desirable. And yet, a lot of people are taught things like, don't expect too much, so then you won't be disappointed, right. Which is kind of contradictory. So, then we're left with, what should we do? Should we focus on desire? Should we ignore desire? Is it good to have desires? Is it too materialistic to have desire?
Right.
And
is it morally wrong to desire? I don't know.
Right. All that stuff. So in any creation, there are always aggressive and receptive factors. So in Chinese philosophy, if you think about the Yin Yang symbol, there's aggressive and receptive.
Sure.
If people are farmers or they grow plants, there are certain plants that there's a male plant and a female plant, and you have to have both of them for the plant to pollinate, to produce the fruit or the vegetable.
Sure.
So in our own creations, whether it's creating a job, a relationship, an artistic project, a book, whatever it is, we need to be aggressive, which means that we reach out and initiate activity, and we need to be receptive, which is to be open to receiving or drawing to us the fulfillment of whatever the thoughts are that we're initiating. So that interplay, that dance, that interaction between aggressive and receptive is what the law of attraction is all about. And it's been interesting to me because as the idea of the law of attraction has become popularized, people talk about attraction as an aggressive function. Like, I'm going to attract this job to me. I'm going to attract this opportunity to me, which isn't what attraction is. That's more aggressive to say, I'm going to make this thing happen.
That's like going after it, it sounds like, instead of like attracting it like a magnet.
Yeah. So the attractive principle is to be expectantly waiting or expectantly still. So if you think about like a cat that's after a mouse. So the cat has its attention on the mouse. It has its eyes on the mouse. And before it actually pounces, which is the aggressive action, it's completely still, not passively lying there in the sun, but completely still, watching the mouse and waiting for the exact opportunity to pounce. And so that's the picture, the image, the energy of what attraction is to be expectantly waiting, not passively waiting. If it's going to be, it's going to be. That's passive. But expectant, meaning all of my attention, all of my desire is focused on whatever this thing is that I want. And I expect that it's going to happen. I don't know exactly how, but I expect it. And so I'm watching and waiting and looking for the opportunities where then I will act on them. So the acting on it is the aggressive function. The expectant waiting is the receptive function. And the two of them together describe the law of attraction. So to activate that or to align with it, it helps to recognize that we have a conscious mind, which is what we use to reason, to make decisions. It works with our physical senses. And then the subconscious mind, which is where we go when we sleep at night, when we dream at night. And the subconscious mind has a duty to fulfill our conscious mind desires, which is really powerful.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
if I don't have everything that I need consciously to make something happen, I may not have all the knowledge, I don't have all the resources, even I may not even have all the ideas. If I don't have all of what I need consciously, but I'm still imaging and expecting to have whatever this desire is, my conscious mind, when I visualize, reaches out like a broadcast, kind of like a TV broadcast or a radio broadcast or this broadcast, and it broadcasts out into universal subconscious mind. And everybody's mind is doing that all at the same time. So you have this show, for example, you can do it on your own, but you like to have guests. And so
I do.
in order for you to have guests, you broadcast the desire. And then there's somebody who wants to be a guest like me. And so those aren't exactly the same desire. They're compatible desires. Your desire to host, my desire to be a guest. And so the law of attraction is what brings us together, because our individual subconscious mind will go to great lengths to help us fulfill our conscious desires.
So what do you say, because you mentioned love, right? What about those people that are out there? It could be love, it could be a promotion, a job, I would think, anything. But they're like, I think in terms of money, especially in this COVID time, it's like there's a lot of employment is high and things like that. But how is there, what would you say to someone who's trying to attract something and nothing seems to be working? Is it that patience thing, or what would you implement there?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the person. So for some people, it might be a matter of patience. I think for some people, it's a matter of expectation. So there might be someone who says, oh, I know this is going to happen, when they really don't. They're trying to talk themselves into it when their doubt about it happening is much stronger than their belief that it could happen. So in a case like that, I think what's really helpful is to get some experience. So let's take a job, for example. Maybe there's somebody who believes that they could make money in sales, but they've never done sales before. So it could be helpful to apprentice with somebody who does sales, where then it's, they're not on the line, but they get to observe, they get to learn through observation. Or maybe they do volunteer work. Volunteer work is a great place for people to get experience. Absolutely. Where they don't have to be worried that they're going to lose money. They have a little bit of flexibility in terms of grace, I would call it. Usually if somebody volunteers, the person who's training them, who's working with them, they give them a little bit of grace so that they can learn. And as they gain experience, then they're in a much more secure and confident position to ask for money for something that now they have experience with, even if they haven't gotten paid from it.
Yeah. For some reason, you made me think of cookies, specifically Girl Scout cookies. And it's like, oh yeah, the kids are selling cookies. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna give them a little bit more grace on the. It's like, oh, they're volunteering, they're young. It's maybe they've never done this before. They're doing something to better society. I think of other charity organizations this way as well. But if I was gonna go buy that cookie, it better be a darn good cookie if you're gonna be selling me a cookie.
Right.
So, and that's, I think, to capture again what you said about almost like the yin and the yang, or the attraction, the giving and the receiving. There has, it might not be the perfect fit. And, it made me think of my own life, where I remember going on a date. This is pre my wife, Michelle. And, I was really looking for a relationship. And I remember sharing this with one of the people I dated, and it was not a match. It was not well received. And I'm like, but that was okay, because, and I was happy about it, as I'm like, all right, well, I guess this wasn't the one that meant to be, or anything even close to it. So it's like, let's go on to the next one. And eventually, of course, I'm here with Michelle almost 20 years later. So pretty awesome stuff. What else would you say for people who are not in alignment? Because I know there's the saying, if you want to know what you're committed to, take a look around and see what you got. How would the law of attraction and desire kind of interplay with that? Because it's like, oh, if I really desire something, it'll come. But I love that metaphor you use with the cat and patience.
Right. I think it's helpful for people to do some kind of self-assessment and self-evaluation. And this is one of the things I help people to do as a coach and a counselor, to identify what their desires are and their priorities. So sometimes people think they really want something, but it's not that important to them. And it's more that they think they should want that, or that other people are telling them they should want that. And then sometimes there are things that are really important that somebody puts aside because they think they're supposed to.
Sure.
So to really be able to identify the related and different areas of life, like health, family, children, creativity, fame and reputation, money, all of those areas, to determine how important is this to me, really. So you were saying earlier that you would like to become well enough known that Tim Ferriss would want to interview you on his show.
Just interesting enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that has to do with your reputation. It has to do with your knowledge base. It has to do with your desire for relationships, probably more than even money. And it's not that money's not important to you. It's just that that's not what your driving desire is. From what I know about you, relationships, creativity, knowledge, those things seem to be more of a driving desire than racking up a bunch of money. Yeah. At the same time, in most cases, the more that somebody really does focus on what's important to them, the more then it also comes through in financial ways. And it might be by making money from it. It might be by saving money. Maybe you make a good relationship with somebody who's a car mechanic, and they fix your car for you where you don't pay for it because you cook a meal for them because you're great at it. Yeah. So those are all ways that people can, I think, get some help in understanding what is important to them is this really a desire that's important to me? Is it a desire that I really should do something about, but I'm not? And how to balance those things, because we live in a physical world, and so I don't think any of us can only do the things that we 100% want to do. I mean, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do, but those are part of what you need to do to be able to do the things you want to.
I you made me think of money, and it is important. It's just not the most important thing. And you did hit the nail on the head. It's our relationships, it's our experiences, it's how we interact with other people. And I know, and I forget the person's name who said this in the, I think it was a Tim Ferriss podcast, but there's lots of different financial coaches out there. But the words held true is like, if you aren't minding your money or you have a concern, it's kind of, that's where all your focus goes.
Right.
And, there was another, I think it was the guy, one of the founders of Paul Mitchell, the Harrison products, he was broke. He was living in his car. He was a single dad, living in his car. That was scary enough, but to do all the things that they did, it's like, if he was just focused on money, then yeah, it's like, well, they figured out a way. And that, he's like, all right, well, what do we do in the meanwhile? Rent's due, and I got to do this. And, it's like, we're just going to do what we got to do. And so he picked up bottles and stuff where they could return them at that time and get a deposit on it. And that was enough to keep going until the next thing. And then I think the law of relativity played into that. So I think that's a real insightful thing, that, yeah, money is important, but it's not the most important thing. So maybe not just have that money be the thing I'm just trying to attract money. I'm just trying to attract money. Just trying to attract money. Although it'd be a fun mantra to put in there.
Right.
To talk to Bob Baker.
Yeah.
What else? Is there any other insights you do want to add along to that for people out there that might be struggling with this, or, confused on how to really apply it in their own life?
Well, one law that we might talk about in a future episode is called the law of proper perspective. And I think that's important because it's like what you're talking about with the guy who developed the hair products.
Yeah.
If you have to survive, then that takes priority over other things. So to be honest about what are my priorities right now, what do I need to focus on now so I can get to the next step, I think that's very important for people. And I know, for example, more than one person who had times in their lives when they said, oh, I'm not going to get a job working in a supermarket because I'm a great artist. And so people should pay me to be a great artist. But if I'm not making any money being a great artist,
right,
maybe I do need to work in a supermarket. I mean, I spent the first few years of my working life going from babysitting to being a store clerk to being secretaries and file clerks. And, I could have said, I'm not going to be a secretary because
right.
I'm beyond that. Well, I needed to make money so that I could eat. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I appreciate the experiences that I got in those jobs. So I think that that's important for people to realize, and not to, I was going to say get ahead of themselves, and I don't even know if that's what it is. It's,
sure.
I guess I would say it's a matter of having an honest ego to say, I am who I am. I am not defined by my work. I'm not defined by how I make money. And so I can still be a great artist and be a supermarket checker outer at the same time. I don't have to be one or the other.
I'm just doing what I'm doing right now, and you never
Right.
know where it's going to lead.
Right.
Well, let's definitely. So for those watching this today, look for a future episode of the Metaphysical Mindset with Dr. Laurel Clark. And we're definitely going to get into that one because, oh yeah, it's going to be a future episode. I'm attracting it.
Sounds good.
Dr. Laurel Clark, thank you as always. You're just such a joy to be with, and I always learn so much from you every time we're together. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Have a great day.
Absolutely. And everybody else out there, we may not see you in person, but we'll always see you right here on social media. Thanks for watching. Pass it on, people. Pass it on. Good stuff. See y'all soon. 3,